right, welcome to UMLO Extras. This is part of the BPMN series, and we've shown you how to create a choreography diagram using BPMN2. We've shown you how using scenarios, structured editors, to auto-generate an activity diagram, auto-generate sequence diagrams, and how to auto-generate test cases. We've shown you how to simulate your models so that they're able to run you through validation of your models in order to complete requirement solicitation, solution approach, design, however and whatever you're trying to accomplish in your delivery objectives. So in this session, we're going to talk about state machines and how to auto-generate state machine diagrams. All right, here we are in our choreography diagram for order processing. We're going to go to our start event, BPMN2 choreography start event. You can see this is what we've chosen here. We're going to double click and we're going to open it up, and we're going to go down to scenarios, and we're going to go ahead and launch a structured editor. I like to have it right to the right of the drawing space, so we're going to drag and drop the window, drop it right here. You can see that we have built out our 5 steps that we used in the previous session to generate activity diagrams and sequence diagrams, but we have not put anything in here as far as state. If you try to generate or auto-generate a state diagram, and we did a test earlier on this, we'll show it again, you get basically a blank state diagram. It has the start and it has the end, but it doesn't have anything in between. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some states to both our basic path ordered processing start event, as well as our invalid exception and our valid exception. So let's get started. All right, we're going to go ahead and make this window a little bit wider. And when you're coming up with your state names or what you're going to put in here, don't worry about it. Just be as short as you possibly be. Try to use the nouns and verbs that are within each one of the steps, such as this one is receive the order request object from Kafka bus. So we're going to use all caps. We might do something like request and then underscore received, something like that. You could say bus request received, anything you want. But we're going to go ahead and just call it this for now, right? And then you simply move down to the next state, next step, and you can populate it or not populate it. If we were to run this right now, it would simply be, let's go ahead and run it, state, left click, overwrite. It would just have the one state that we had placed in our state machine. So you can see it's just as simply from start to the only state that we put in here right to the end. Well, that's not going to work. So we're going to go back and we're going to add in some other states. So I've gone ahead and added some states in here. We're just going to finish this last one, order event logged. We're just going to go with that right now. And now let's auto-generate our state machine diagram, overwrite existing. And this time it's going to include the states that we added from start to end. And what we're going to do is move this over a little bit and let's see what we have here. So you can see that the decision point, it had 2 exceptions, but they're not populated. They just kind of fall off on a flow end event, a terminate right here, a terminate event. And that's not complete either. So it's running through the exceptions that we had originally put within, like this one's at 2A, this one's at 2B. So here's 2, here's 2A, and here's 2B. And we want to show the states for these. So what we're going to do is we're going to close this, and we're going to open up the very first exception that's in here. And you can see that there are no states, right? So we want to have states. So let's look at valid. Again, they're blank with no states. So what we're going to do is we're going to populate the states for these exceptions that are coming off of the basic path called order processing start event. So now I have validated. Let's go to invalid. I put a state in here. Order fallout is the state for invalid order request objects. And for valid, it's order valid. Now we still have the joins at 5 and 3, but let's go ahead and go back up to the basic path and rerun this state machine diagram. So I'm going to select it. We're going to overwrite and let it run. All right, it is completed. Now let's take a look at, let's move this window over here. You can see we've added in the fallouts. We'll fix the lines and clean this up a little bit later on. But they just fall off to a terminate. Terminate 1 and terminate 2. Well, that's not a very good state machine at this particular point. So what we're going to do is we're going to have them return to the points in which we've asked them to return in the other diagrams, right? So we're going to roll up here. We're going to select start. You can see that we've got, well, if it's invalid, it goes to step 5 and go ahead and log the event. If it's valid, let's run to step 3, order processing valid, and continue through our flow, our scenario. So let's fix this so that the state machine is correct. So essentially what we want to do is we want the fallout order, and I'm going to grab this arrow and I'm going to, let's see here, let's move this down a little bit. I want this event to basically fall out to the log event. So I want this to happen. And for a valid order, I want this event to go to this state because order validated, order is valid. So I want it to go here. So let's go ahead and close this. We're not going to save it. No, we're going to go to our order process. We're going to bring back in our scenario view. And what we're going to do is that we want an invalid response to basically go to the order event logged state. All right. So we're just going to Control C and copy this. We're going to go here. And when it comes to the event 2 fallout, we want the state to simply be order event logged. All right. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go to the valid state. And then we'll go back up here because we want to go to step 3, which is order valid. So in this case, we're going to copy this, or you can type it. I just copy it so I don't fat finger it. We're going to go to order valid, and then it's for the state in step 2 here, we want it to be order valid. All right. So now we're going to go back up to the basic path, and we're going to run this state machine diagram once again. So we've selected, yes, overwrite, and give us the results. All right, generation complete. Let's move this over and take a look at what happened. Let's zoom out so we can see, clean this up. So now you see valid orders automatically going to the right state in our state diagram, fallouts going to the right state. Now this is still a dirty diagram and you just clean it up yourself, right? So I basically start by right-clicking on the very first line type, changing it to orthogonal square, then coming back and then applying the line style to the same line style type, and it just cleans up everything, makes those lines. And then what I do is I can reorganize the state machine diagram to fit within a single view prior to running simulation. All right, after cleaning this up, the diagram may look like this. So what we're going to do is just going to right-click in here. We're going to go to execute simulation, and now we're going to run manual simulation on our state machine. So it comes down to decision point right here. We're just going to go down order validated, run down this path here. It's going to go through, and then it's going to ask you, hey, do you want to go to your test case or do you want to go on to your choreography diagram? Let's go ahead and go to test case. It's just going to run your testers to the test case where they can run testing. And then it's going to go right into the choreography flow, and you could continue on from here. Now, the interesting thing that we saw, if we go up to simulation and we bring up the simulate window, let me just go ahead and collect it. You're able to actually follow the events as you're selecting them here. The other thing is if you were to look at your test scripts, your test cases, and let's go to where our test cases are. Let's just go to all, and you're able to look at the particular test cases as they're running, and your test team. Let's go ahead and bring the test case window up. I'm just going to put it right here. Your test team's able to run the test results to test whether START is following your test plan here, the necessary paths. So I'm going to go ahead and close this now. So there's a lot you can do between simulation, requirements development, elicitation, in order to achieve the objectives through the entire design flow within your BPMN choreography diagrams. And this works with any type of diagram in UML, your class diagrams, your requirements diagrams, anywhere where you're able to do structured editor and simulation, you're able to actually validate what you're stating in a particular element using various auto-generated diagram approaches. Now, I don't normally build my state machine diagrams using the auto-generation feature out of Sparks Enterprise Architect. I tend to use real state machine diagrams. And I covered this last year when we built this particular diagram. It's programmed so I can run interpreted simulations. And this is my layout for simulations. So I can literally come down to trigger events such as launch. I can run through the various events, through the various processes within the model, move back and forth, just like I would in any object-oriented design type of diagram or model or anything that's model-driven, all the way to an end event. So I can drive my simulations through state machine diagrams in a more effective way using real state machines. So I'll put a link to this video that I did last year. I'll do an updated video based off of the content that we're doing in BPMN to show you how a real state machine, I didn't mean to say real because the other one is a real state machine diagram as well. This is a real state machine diagram, but you can do a lot more powerful, expose the code that you're developing along the way from solution approach through design, through actually delivery, and manage your state machines all the way across your choreography diagrams, your deployment diagrams, component diagrams, and I could go on and on. You can build state machines any way you wish. So thanks very much for watching this, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Until then, happy modeling.